Hey, I just want to talk about something real quick. I'm gonna try something different. Um, I was thinking about the idea of wealth and being alone or feeling alone and feeling like you have no control over your life or that somebody else has control over your life, having freedom or no freedom at all. These types of concepts and ideas people people don't understand that these things are a state of mind. They're not a physical, tangible thing in your reality that affects you. You perceive it that way and it makes sense that way, so it is that way, but it's not that way. The reality is much simpler. Um Having wealth is a state of mind. It's not a physical thing that you can conceptualize logically. It doesn't work like that. People don't really even understand what freedom is, and people don't understand what being not being alone feels like. And these things are related. They're connected because they both come from the same original thing, which is that it's a state of mind and nothing else. It's like uh, it's like people running around doing their thing, all working and taking care of kids and doing chores, like whatever, making money. They just live their life and they don't really think. They don't have time to stop and really think and analyze what's really going on in their lives to understand how they can make it better, because it, they've already decided that they don't have time. And I decided from an early age that I would figure this out and get to know what this life really was, because I didn't care about all the stuff that people want to care about, because that's just the way my mind worked. So it put me in a unique perspective of information gathering that not a lot of people have or wanted to have, I guess. But I don't know. The value in that is huge for me. I mean, I I feel peace and I feel love and I don't feel alone. Like I feel less alone when I'm alone than when I'm with people. I feel more love when I'm alone than I'm with people. I feel more freedom when I'm alone than I'm with people. And everyone around me in my life is coming around and coming around and coming around. They act like I'm desperate. You know what I mean? They act like I'm desperately clinging on by a thread when it's like the opposite is true. Like I can just sit here and vibe to music and myself and my thoughts and have kinds of conversations out loud with myself and know that I'm being listened to, because I'm aware that I'm being listened to, and I'm aware that what I'm saying is valid, and I'm aware that it's important because it came from me and I'm important. So people don't know the value of their own selves, and they sell their value off to people who would see you destroyed, like people who would take everything from you and leave you with nothing and dead. And people are selling out their their all these things that they desire in their life unknowingly to these people, just selling themselves. And that's what this society is. It's a bunch of people selling away the only thing that truly matters in their life. And it's like their soul, and the sanctity of the inner soul or the mind and like the heart, and in really realizing that you have to fight every day with society and people to keep your level of who you are intact. You know what I mean? Like people just they're so used to get being receiving other people's freedoms and all these other things that they covet. They're so used to them giving it away that they try to take it from people that don't want to give it away. So you have to put up a fight, and people people are out of their minds. They don't understand that what they're doing is taking away from themselves because they didn't realize that they had already lost themselves, and now they're trying to find it through all these arbitrary ways and through other people. But and they look at you the same way they view themselves without realizing that's how they view themselves. You know what I mean? So they look at you as what they see themselves as without realizing that that's how they see themselves through you. So you become lost in a sea of confusion that comes from other people's confusion about who you are because they are so confused about who they are. It's a clusterfuck of insanity that affects affects you so deeply. Most people are so lost within that they don't even realize that that's going on. You know what I mean? And like being aware of it, it's a fight every day with people. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it's not, but like a lot of times it is, and it seems like when it's not, it just there's less people in your life, and when there's more people in your life, the harder it gets because that mentality is pervasive. Um, and when I want to just go further into that idea of it's a state of mind, freedom, and not being lonely or feeling lonely. Um, to make an example, um, a man who never, a man who had no one in his life, no friends or family, perhaps, um, but inside the man knew one thing, a simple idea that everything that he sees in his reality is connected to himself, therefore connected to everyone else. So he could find everything in the universe in a single blade of grass, including himself. Where is there to be lost when you're surrounded by life? Where is it to feel lonely when you're surrounded by life? It's a state of mind that you need somebody to help you, or you need somebody outside of you, or you need. It's false perception. When you realize that you exist within everything and everything exists within you, and that everyone else exists within everything too, you can connect with that level where you don't need to have a physical interaction to feel others around. And actually, it'll benefit you to a person who sees it that way because they're going to connect with a higher form of every person, not just the limited form that of the ego mind that most people come from. Because when you tap into that level and see it that way, you're connecting on every with everyone from a level that is beyond even their understanding, and you'll never feel alone in that. How could you? How could you feel alone when you knew, if you knew this is true? If you knew this was true, how could you would never feel alone? And it's the same thing with freedom. Nobody can take your freedom if you you know, the only freedom that people can take from you is what you give them, what you allow them to take. That's it. It's it's simple, but it's true. It's people. I just want to say it again. You people only take the freedom that you allow them to take from you, and people don't realize that that's a game, and they're playing that game by interacting with a person of that level or that degree or that mindset. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you interact with an individual of that mind state, you're playing the game now, and there's nothing in you know what I mean. You can't just leave and walk away. You have to play the game, and you have to play it a certain way to get out of it. Most people don't realize they're playing that game, so they get deeper and deeper and deeper, and then they end up in a relationship that's super toxic and violent, and really bad things start happening because they've invested too much into that person, and that person's taken too much of that person's valuables in, inside them, who they are and what they trust and what they value. um so they people The more you give a person that thing that you are when they don't deserve it, the more they want, the more greedy they'll become, the more aggressive they'll become, the more angry they'll become, the more obsessive they'll become, the more that they will attack you, the more that they will put you in jeopardy, to the point where they might even want to end your life. It would get to that point, and you have to realize that that person is never going to stop, and they're never going to change. So you have to just see things from reality. You have to see things as they are. And people are being told left and right and center what how to see things as they are. That's not how you see things how they are. You don't see things how they are by being told or hearing it from somebody else. That's that's like looking into infinity and being like, "Oh, well, I'm going to hear what the newsman says because he's he's a million steps behind infinity, but I'm gonna believe that, or I'm gonna believe what my friend says because even though he's 100 steps behind infinity, but I'm gonna because every time you leave that zone of infinity of oneness, you then therefore I've lost touch because in that moment you can gain all that information as it filters through, as it comes down, and it enters your reality, and it because it enters your mind and enters your focus and your reality before it manifests itself into physical life. And there's a purpose for that, so that you can see it, to change it, to see and change as you see fit, to benefit you, to put yourself at ease or limit the harm that would come to you. And people are so the moment is drilled out of you because people out there don't want you to have that focus. Um, so the distraction's real. Everything's a distraction, but once you realize the truth of yourself and go into that one moment of infinite time, nothing can affect you. So it's ironic that that's why people want to distract you from that moment, because once you're in it, you can't be pulled out of it. Nothing can affect you at that point. You're locked in, and nothing can change that. So you it's not only beneficial to do that; it's protective. It's to protect you. Um, People don't understand how closely the Creator God works with all of us, and people don't realize that there's certain we're all being watched, and there's certain laws that they have that we don't even that we're not told, that if we cross the line then somebody will take us out. Like that's a reality. Like there's a reason we have crime, and there's a reason we have like gangs and syndications and groups of people. They're a magnet for really dark evil souls that end up getting attracted to that, but they end up, it's like that movie, I forget the name of it, but The Drop. If you ever seen that movie, The Drop, it's just like that. Like, you don't understand that people at the core of those organizations are good people. It's like the same thing with the whole um groups of people or organizations that have influence in the world. They, at the core of those groups, are good, loving, God serving people. It's just that the people around them that attract get attracted to that vortex of power, they're evil and dark people, and but they're closely watched and monitored, and they're not part of the whole thing. That what they do doesn't, it doesn't um it doesn't mean that's what that doesn't represent the whole. You know what I mean? That small group doesn't represent the whole. Okay, and nothing is, everything's ordered, orderly, everything's in order, everything's by design. Like, people don't understand that. Even me talking about this right now, people don't understand right now. Even um I say what I meant to say, I say what I'm inspired to say, because the creator excuse me, or God, not religious, but the universal father, like, they the he has a plan, and everyone works in different ways, unbeknownst to them, as the plan unfolds. You know, every piece is important. People don't understand that, and if it wasn't important, or if it was defective or in some way, or if it took, if it made harmful to, it would be taken care of. Like, it wouldn't exist because it wouldn't be allowed to exist. Um, it's just made to look like it's chaos and everything's going to hell and we're all gonna burn, right? But it's not. It's not the case. It's just, it's an elaborate illusion that isn't. It's just that. All of it is just that. It's just, it's it's like watching a movie on TV and trying to, like, figure out that it's not real, and that to look around the room in the theater room and realize, oh, well, that's reality. But people are so focused on the movie, they forgot that there's also a reality here that goes beyond the movie. Because most people say that, like, oh, it's just, this is just a game, or this is just a play, or this is just a movie. Well, yeah, but the thing is like, the screen that you're watching in life is just, is the movie, but you're forgetting that the reality still exists here. You're forgetting that infinity exists here, that we all exist here in this space, and that it's real and it's really happening. And people are so focused on the images on on the screen that they're not even seeing everything else. And you can't dismiss everything else, because most people don't even realize there's anything else but that movie. Most people think that they are in the movie. No, you're not in the movie. You're watching it and you're living your life, but you don't even realize you're living your life. You People don't even realize that there's there that we actually are in a movie theater, and that we can live our lives simultaneous to the images that we're seeing on the screen, irrespective of those images, actually, because those images are just that. It's like putting a coat of paint on a building, and like saying that it's brand new when it's not. It's like, I know that that building has lived there has been there for 100 years or 1,000 years, and I know that they could put a piece of slack of paint on it and tell people that it's brand new. Well, it's not. It's been around for thousands of years. They just put a coat of paint on it and said and told you what it was and lied to you. But they get they do that so that you don't realize that to look around you, that the screen you're seeing isn't, you know what I mean? It's like looking a little further. People don't realize how easy it is to understand the truth. It's like investigating a little further, and that's it. And people go either way overboard with that investigation and they lose it, or they don't do it at all and they lose it. All you need to do is go up to the building, take your fingernail, scratch the paint, and look at the back. Look at it, and how, just investigate in terms of like logical thought processes. Like, how can I how can I view this object from a different perspective from what I'm looking at it right now? And how can I prove that that perspective is valid and real? So what can I do to make to make that a make that a reality? I mean, it's not hard. It's just, if I scratch my fingernail on the paint and look at there's another color underneath, or it's not, it looks like it's been painted over, then I know that it's I know that it's not new, it's old. It's been there a long time. And there's so many ways for you to determine that. You can walk into the building and smell the smell of it. You could tell if it's an old building by the smell or the design, or it's just, there's so many ways to tell if that object has been around for how long it's been around, thousands of years. It could be a church, right? And you could tell by the architecture, or the window panes, or the types of objects that you see within the building itself, and the chairs, and people have all those options to see if what it really is. And all they did was say, oh well, yeah, it looks like new paint. He said it's new building, so I believe him. And they don't even, it's almost like they lie to themselves to satisfy their own insecurities, that somebody could be lying to them, like that couldn't happen, so to that person, so it has to be true. And or people will do the opposite and say, oh well, they're lying and they want to kill us all and hurt us all and then destroy everything. And well, you're just as fucking crazy as the people that think that the thing's real, new, brand new, and don't have any idea what it is. You're just, you might be even more crazy than those people. There's no difference between those two people. It's all about balance. People understand. It's like there's no difference between one extreme and the other. They're both extreme. And honestly, truth can only come in the center when there's balance, and that's where unification comes from. Um, and I think the biggest thing to let go here that I want to let say is, people have forgotten or haven't realized that, um, we're living reality. We're living a real life, and everything that's being projected into our consciousness through TV, or through other people, through what they say, through like all these different things that we see as a layout for all of this information. Well, that's the illusion, not your life, not this reality. That this life and this reality is real, and what happens here matters. It's just that movie, that projection, it's an illusion in the sense that it's covering up what's already there, to make you not know that you're living a life now, and that what you do is important now. It's so important to realize that, because there's so many people who are really, really, really ignorant and they act really, really ignorant, and they have no idea that it's affecting them and other people greatly. And they're brainwashed not to the reality, but the movie that they're seeing, to think that none of it is real or to think that all of it is real. It's neither. Okay, thank you very much.